Welcome to another presentation from the CV Academics Foundation, home of the AMP Honors Program.
Hello, ANC Honors Program members and CV Academics Foundation. My name is Juliana, and I'm one of the super mentors on the platform. And today I have the honor to speak with Kate Hogan. Our focus of conversation is kind of geared towards the role of women in leadership. And Kate was the perfect example for this. Her current role since 2016 is the Director of Marketing at Dental City in Green Bay. And she has previously worked as the Vice President of Corporate Relations and Innovation at Privea Health and was the Director of Retail Operations for the Green Bay Packers for almost 22 years. Go Pack Go. Thank you for being here today, Kate. Did I miss anything in terms of who you are and what you stand for, I guess?
No, well, thanks for having me, Juliana. I'm pleased to be here. That's my work experience, and I'm born and raised in Green Bay. I graduated from St. Norbert College here in De Pere. I attended St. Thomas College for a semester, and I've lived in a couple other cities and places around Wisconsin. In one, during some of my other work, but I love it here, and I love our community.
Well, thank you for being here. We appreciate it. Just for starters, like I said, it was kind of geared towards leadership and women in leadership. For you personally, how would you define a great leader? I know this is different for everyone, but from your experiences, how would you define a great leader?
Yeah, I think a good leader has to be enthusiastic about their work and their role as a leader, right? You have to have a passion. Need to be a source of inspiration, which I think can be scary early on, and something you always have to be mindful of. You have to be a motivator towards the goals that you have set for your team, yourself, or the company that you work for. I think that's really important. I think you have to provide growth and direction for those goals, and also growth opportunities for your team, right? They have to grow and develop and feel like they're a part of what's going on and contributing, right? And I think you want them to be able to develop in their role and have opportunities for the future. And I think you have to be prepared and ready and flexible as well. Those are some of the things. There's so much more, but
I agree with you. There's so many, but I think it's good to hear from different perspectives depending on what your occupation is or what year in school you're in. But I think that growth piece sticks out to me the most. So
right, and that. Yeah, I mean, that growth for your team, but also growth for yourself, right? You should always be continuing to learn and try new things and be better at what you do.
I agree. So in terms of leadership and just being a woman, do you believe that there's some strategies that help you, gain experience and certain, how can I word this? Like, in terms of your role, was there certain things that you felt you personally did to gain the leadership role that you are in?
Yeah, I think as a woman, and when I was younger, I didn't really think about it that way, and we didn't talk about it that much. I think that is discussed much more in the last, 10, 15 years than it was previously. And I had to have kind of an awareness about that and the impact that it could have. And I think it affects all women in their situation, and there's a different path than maybe for men, and that's not bad or good, just different. So having an awareness of that and trying to figure out how to use your opportunities to move forward in your career without having that be a burden, but being aware of the fact that you're a woman.
Okay. That's a good answer. I like the awareness piece of it. I think a lot of times, we get so, I shouldn't say we, but I at least think, there's certain barriers that a lot of people will go through. But even just looking past those to kind of, almost use those as a positive versus like a negative setback is a big
Yeah,
piece.
I would agree. I mean, I think you have to be aware of the situation around you, right? You should look for the opportunities that exist and make the best of them, as opposed to looking for the barriers and being frustrated about them. I think, not only do women have sometimes challenges, minorities can have challenges, and I think even in some experiences, you can have challenges because of the education path you took, or where you live, right? I heard a story, somebody said to me once that somebody wasn't appropriate for a role because they hadn't attended a large university or college, or that they hadn't left, or I've heard somebody say, you didn't really leave town to go to school. And that doesn't make you less or more prepared for a job, right? Your experiences, depending on where you've been and where you've gone, are different. But it's really how you use those experiences in your education, right? Some people don't have the opportunity to leave town.
Right.
They maybe have to get their education locally, whether it's at a college, a university, or a technical college, whatever that is. Some people do have the opportunity to leave, and we shouldn't presume that somebody has stayed or left for the reasons that somebody else has, right? We don't know everybody's story or why they've done that. So I think it's important to keep that in mind. So those can be barriers, but they can also be opportunities, right? People maybe want to stay in their community and contribute to their community, as opposed to leaving and going and contributing to somebody else, to another community. But you can get your experience in so many different ways, right? Through travel for work, travel for personal, and learn about what's going around. You can also get experiences in other ways as well.
I agree. I think experiences, even just at the age of 23, I've learned so much from moving from, my hometown to one city to the next. So I encourage that, just because, they're scary, but I think those are the moments where I learned most was, when you're out of your comfort zone and, things are intimidating or they're a little bit daunting. I think it's a good thing.
I agree.
Kate, if you could choose, what's one leadership lesson that you've learned in your career over the years?
Oh, that's tough. One for somebody my age, that's tough. I think there's, a number of them. There's a couple things. So I'm going to say patience for me. Patience. I had to learn patience. I still have to have patience. That's not, my strongest trait. I went to an all-girls Catholic high school where the nuns told us patience is a virtue, and we kind of joke about that amongst ourselves now. But I think it really is, right? And I can be better at that, but that's something I've learned. But I'd also say really listening, and that is something that I've had to work on, and being present. And I think I learned what being present is from somebody that I worked with and had the opportunity to be associated with over the last few years. That was fabulous at being president, and that was Tom Kunkel, former president of St. Norbert College, who had that uncanny ability to be present when you were with him.
That was one thing that came to mind for me, was being present. I think a lot of people don't necessarily, not that they don't know how, but it's challenging to be present, especially when there's so many things going on. We're trying to be in school or, do a million things at our job, and being present. And a lot of times people think they can multitask and be present at the same time. But I remember reading a book, I don't remember what it was called, but one of their rules was, if you want to be present in your life, you can't multitask. So I think that kind of goes hand in hand with you saying being present and being patient.
Yeah.
just doing one single task at a time.
I'm not sure I'm great at it, but I'm aware of those things. And there's things that I think about, and I have to stop myself and go, be present.
Yeah.
Even if it's not at work, with your kids, with your husband,
Mhm.
with your family, your friends, your colleagues. Yeah.
That's a good answer. What motivates you, whether that's in your job, life, just in general? Is there something specifically that motivates you, or are there a couple different things?
I don't really know what that one thing is. I've always been motivated to try and do better and do my best. From as long as I can remember, I've been busy and involved and wanting to do, try different things and do different things and work hard. And it's part of, my DNA, I think. But I can be motivated too by, others who, do a great job of, encouraging me, or other our work teams or whatever like that. But I've tried to, I feel like I'm generally motivated and excited about things. I like to see good accomplishment and success for the places that I've worked, and that's always been important. I feel like my work is an extension of me, and I'd want work to be successful, or the companies I work for.
That's kind of how I am. I think it is part of who we are, maybe how we grew up, but I think a lot of it is kind of just innate. Like, it's just in us to be motivated or not. Some people have to work harder at being motivated, some people don't. But I think the success piece of it too, I think, is very important. I think that kind of pushes you along to continue to stay motivated. So
yeah, and even missteps and non-successes motivate you to do that. One thing I learned is that everybody is different, and everybody is fueled in a different way, right? And whether you have 5 people or 150 people working on your team or with you, every one of them is different, and they all require a different way to speak to them or motivate them or incentivize them. And adapting to them is almost as important. And I'm motivated by trying to adapt to people. I am not the best at the rah-rah, big message, but I do appreciate the one-on-one communication with the people that you work with, and how they respond to that, and trying to find a way to be able to respond back and forth with them and motivate them. And that motivates me as well.
I think that's a huge piece of even being a leader, is just not only adapting to your own environment, but those who are working with you and adapting to them. I think that's, as a leader, you almost need that piece, because they're a part of your team. And if you're the leader of the team or the pack, that's important.
Yeah, that's something I learned, I think, pretty significantly at my time at the Packers, because I had a lot of young people coming and going from high school and colleges, and they'd work for you for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years. And then we had a whole different group of people that were older and were family people or were retired, and everybody was a little bit different, and really appreciated how those groups worked together and how they communicated, and working with each of those people individually and having that opportunity.
Do you think that your role with the Packers has kind of helped you in your roles after that, in terms of being a leader, or just, like you said, having those skills to kind of adapt to the different individuals that come in and out of working with you and for you?
Yeah, I had an opportunity to, be successful and have some failures there as well,
Mm-hmm.
and learn a lot. I actually, working for the HC Pranging Company coming out of college, and I did that for 8 or 9 years.
Okay.
And I moved around from, store to store and then into the corporate office. I really learned some foundational pieces of working with a team, right? If you were in the store, you had a group of people that worked with you in their different departments. And those people were there. They were there for 5, 10, 15, 20 years, right? And people like myself who were trainees and then managers in the store would move from store to store and would spend, smaller amounts of time. And I remember learning from some of the store managers I worked for that, really working with the people in your department and on the sales floor, they were the experts, and your job was to support them, but learn from them, and you would be successful and they would respond to you. And that was what I took forward, I think, to the Packers as well. As we grew, that business, grew from very small to very large, and a lot of challenges along the way,
Mm-hmm.
and generally successful, but the people there became the experts of their roles and their work, and were responsible for the everyday successes. So yes, but even started earlier, and just picking up little tidbits along the way, right? I remember, early somebody sharing with me at the Packers, the maintenance guys around here do everything. So make sure that you understand that and know how important they are to, what happens here at the stadium and how
Mm-hmm.
we function, right? That was years and years and years ago. But just those little, hearing those and learning those tidbits, and making sure you understand them and how important those are to your success.
That's a good way to look at it, that it kind of brings everything full circle, that yes, you're in this specific position, but there's all these other people kind of helping the whole team be successful.
Right.
That's like you said, the foundation. That's a great way to word it. I like that. And I did want to touch on your presidential role that you just finished up with the Women's Fund of Greater Green Bay. How has that position influenced you as a woman?
Well, what a wonderful opportunity to work with all the people that I got to work with through the Women's Fund, right? All the volunteers that were on the advisory board over my time on it, right? And people come in and out because they serve their board terms at different times.
Mm-hmm.
And just another opportunity to work with a different group of people besides the people that you spend your time with at work, right? Which is where you spend a lot of your time.
Mm-hmm.
And learning different qualities and leadership abilities, and listening to their knowledge and asking them for advice and guidance, and really allowing them to own the room, and that was incredible. And then you meet these people and they become your friends, and
Mm-hmm.
and all the while you're doing important work for your community, right?
Mm-hmm.
So really wonderful opportunity to meet a whole nother group of people in the community that maybe I knew or didn't know, a little bit from other
Mm-hmm.
dealings, but to work more closely with them, young and old alike, a lot of energy. Very neat.
That's awesome.
My job is
Wow.
just to steward the role and make sure, the dots were connected and the
Mm-hmm.
T's crossed, the I's dotted, and we got our work done. And they're doing really the hard lifting, right? But everybody's working together towards one common goal. So even though you're serving in that role, everybody's doing the work. And it's always more work than the people on the outside realize.
Yeah, but that's what makes it all work, right?
Yeah.
Is all, yeah. And I can imagine
Yeah.
you brought some of those, different traits that you learned from that position into your professional work as well in those leadership roles.
I try to do that. I try, again, each one of those people really talented. in all kinds of different ways. And I was kind of in awe of them, and their energy and knowledge and ideas is inspiring. There's some really wonderful talent in our community, and and we should be grateful for that. That people are using that to move our community forward, and that they're working at these other jobs that they have. Almost everyone's full time. Not everyone. Some of them retired and doing this work, which is great. And some of them family people doing this work, but everybody giving what they could and bringing, some incredible talents, right? Some great at PR, some great at marketing, some great at strategy, some great at mentoring. All of those, some at financial, some on the legal front, and bringing all those people together and working towards a common goal is neat.
Thankfully, everyone kind of picks in their own way, so you can bring everyone together for that.
Yeah.
To make a team. Well, thank you so much, Kate, for sharing a little bit about yourself. We really appreciate to hear your roles and how being a leader has kind of influenced you over the years. For closing, I just want to say thank you for being here, and I can't wait to share this interview with everyone. But
yeah, well, thanks for having me, Juliana. And for me, it's really the people that I've gotten to work with that really do the hard work. And I continue to try and learn to be better at what I do. And I don't really consider myself a leader as much as just part of the team and trying to accomplish goals, whatever it is. Yeah. But I appreciate you asking to speak with me today and having me, and wish everybody good luck.
Thank you so much. I will take what you have taught me with me as well. So thank you.
Thank you. Well, I'm glad we were able to get together.
This has been a presentation of the CV Academics Foundation, home of the AMP Honors Program.